Hey, everybody. Welcome to Daughter and Dad Podcast, episode 18, where we talk about storms, Sammy the water dog, and ufologists, along with a bunch of other stuff. Jump on in.
Well, you survived the storm.
Dad, I survived the storm. We had a huge storm last night, completely unexpected. It was truly one of the best storms of my life. There was this storm cell, and it just hovered right over our neighborhood. And it hovered there for over an hour. It poured and poured and poured. The garden is so happy today.
You know, I can understand that. Because Daniel, when he texted me last night, and when I heard him when we were talking, he just sounded so happy. The ions must have been perfect and so good for you guys.
They were. We were in a great mood. The thunder was wonderful. Django was not afraid.
I miss that guy.
He misses you. Well, hey, Dad, I want to hear all about Sammy. You got a new friend, I understand.
Angie's new dog, the Brittany Spaniel, Sammy. Well, he is... he's really thin for a dog, for his size and his breed. He's probably was the runt of the litter.
Yeah.
But he has this incredible need to be loved.
Aww.
And see, they adopted him, and I'm wondering how he was treated prior to that. Because he would just come in, as long as he would lay his head on my belly, and he would just stay there, and you just had to pat him. And he would just stay there and stay there. He'd stretch out his legs, and you had to pat him up here under the neck. And he did not want to leave.
Aww.
And if you stopped patting him, he'd open his eyes and look at you, and you felt guilty that you stopped patting him.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
It was truly, truly cute. He wasn't taken so much with the treats I brought, somewhat, but not like Chili or not like Dr. J.
Yeah.
But he was taken with the fact that I just loved the dog and would pat him and not stop patting him. And that was it. So it was a really good experience with him.
That sounds like a wonderful dog.
He was as Angie says, he seems to love life, but she doesn't know how long he'll make it because he loves it. He doesn't watch where he's going. For example, this is a good example of this. We went down by this lake to go walking.
Yeah.
And he loves the water. He just goes boom in the water and starts swimming. No, in fact, it was by a river. It was by a river. So he just jumps in the river. And they're saying, Sammy, come back. But he's out there swimming, the current's taking him. And then he starts swimming down where he's out of where you can get him. And then he's swimming back against the current. He finally makes it back, and you think he's going to collapse from being tired. No, he runs across the land, jumps in to another part of the river, and starts swimming again. Well, they finally got him out, put him on leash for a second. We got up from the river. So they let him go again, and we walked a little further, and we come to a platform that looks out into this big lake.
Yeah.
Well, the rails on the platform, there's about a foot and a half between each of the rails. Sammy just took off from the path right through the rails and dove out for at least a 6-foot drop into the lake. Goes, boom!
Whoa!
And it's a steep climb to get back up. And he's swimming around out there. Then he's trying to crawl up. I think Angie went down and tried to pull him up out of there. And I'm thinking, Angie and I both said later, that dog loves life, but we don't know how long.
That's really cute. Yeah. That is so cute.
Yeah, so that was the big exciting moment. Sammy doing the high dive off of the platform. My gosh, didn't even think twice. Boom.
Wow. I bet Dr. J and Sammy would be great buddies.
They would have so much fun together. There's no question about it. No question about it. They're two of the same heart.
Yeah. So what else did you do up in Michigan?
Well, let's see. We walked, and we walked because we went to different parks. And, have you been to East Lansing?
A long time ago.
Okay. Well, Michigan State is right there, right near Angie's house. And they have the most beautiful campus. And I've been on many university campuses, and I rate their campus as one of the best. They're a land grant university,
Yeah.
just like New Mexico State down in Las Vegas.
Right.
So they have a lot of land. But on there, Angie took Sammy with us for a walk down there. But we went through, they have a botanical gardens. And so we went through, and I did ask a groundskeeper there, and I asked her, do you have amaranth? Because Angie really wants to see amaranth. And she thought about it, and she says, I don't think we have any this year. But if there's any, it will be in the children's section.
Yeah.
So we pitter-pattered over to the children's section, and we're looking around, and there in this, it kind of reminded me of your garden because it was a hodge, and don't take this critically, it was a hodgepodge. It was like somebody took seeds and just went,
That's what I do, Dad. That's what I do.
Because I said, there's an amaranth plant, Angie. There was one here, and one there, and one over there.
Wow.
So three amaranth plants. They were baby, though, compared to your plants and my plants.
Dad, you sent me that picture of your amaranth. Wow, it's budding. It looks so beautiful.
We have 4 budding today.
That is great.
Well, anyways, Sammy's with us, and they have the Red Cedar River runs through the campus, and it goes by these wonderful gardens they have that they grow all kinds of plants. Looks like your garden in many ways, except it's a lot bigger. So Angie lets Sammy run off leash along the Red Cedar. Well,
wow.
Sammy in water. Honestly, you think that dog has a dorsal fin. Right into the river. He's out there swimming around, come up for a minute, goes back in. Then don't get near him when he's going to shake because you're going to take a shower every time. You know how that goes, right?
Yes.
Especially when you spray Django.
Yes. Wow. But Sammy has longer hair than Django, so I bet you get more water in the face with Sammy.
You do get water in the face. That's for sure. Oh, I bought her asparagus plants, some time ago.
Yeah.
And she planted them. And we were wondering, should she cut them this year? Because they're growing. And actually, there were only 8 plants that were sent to her. And the asparagus is sending up all kinds of shoots. When I left there were at least, I think, 16 plants.
Wow, Dad, that's so funny. You mentioned asparagus plants because last week I planted 3 asparagus plants. I pulled up some of the bolted kale and I replaced it with 3 asparagus. And they're supposed to do really well here. So we'll see.
Well, I learned, because we looked it up online, do not harvest the asparagus in the first year or 2. You have to let it fern. That was their word, fern, whatever that means. So you just let it grow and grow and grow. And I think you must cut it at the end when it dies at the end of the season.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what happens. I also put in 3 artichoke plants.
Oh, I love artichokes.
I do too. And those are supposed to really do amazing here. They get really big and produce a lot of artichokes. So I'm super excited to see what happens. They're just little plants right now, but we have a long growing season. I bet we get some artichokes.
Don't eat the hairy stuff inside.
No.
No, would that choke you, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that choke you?
That's what they call it, the choke. That's the choke part of the artichoke.
Ah, so that would actually choke you if you want to try to eat it.
Well, I think if you swallowed it whole. If you steam it, the hairy part just gets kind of mushy and soft, and it's just the texture is not pleasing.
Well, Mom used to like to make artichoke hearts for me, but she would make them, and then I'd eat all those petals with salsa.
Oh, that sounds so good.
They were delicious.
Yeah, that sounds so good.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that back. I heard Albuquerque Undercover has a big story to tell about your neighborhood.
There was a big incident the night before last here at 1 a.m. The police helicopter, and then followed quickly by the news helicopter, were circling around my neighborhood, and the police put on the loudspeaker from the helicopter saying, "Stay in your homes. Do not leave your homes. Stay away from windows. Stay away from doors." And it went on and on and on. And I tried to pull up the police scanner. I've got the police scanner app on my phone. I wanted to see what was going on, but they had moved to a secure channel. But I did find out later that there was a naked guy who was running around and threatening people. So I think he was probably on drugs or something, but it was a naked guy. I don't know why we had to stay away from windows. Maybe they were afraid he'd pee on us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was he a neighbor or someone from outside the
Outside the neighborhood. It wasn't somebody who lives here. Probably walked down the arroyo, probably was drinking and went nuts.
was celebrating something? There was a full moon. There was a
Yes,
full
there
moon
was
last
a full moon. There was a
Yeah.
full moon. So, you know,
This full moon came with a solstice
yep, it sure did
on the same day.
on the same day.
I wonder if that's unusual. I bet it is.
I think it is unusual. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, so
No,
it's pretty
it only,
cool.
it only could happen twice a year. Full moon on the solstice.
That's right.
At the most.
Yeah. Did you have your
a word I didn't know, and I thought of you when I heard the word.
Okay.
And the word is, okay, I'm going to ask you if you and your group call yourself this.
Okay.
Aleontologist.
Oh, aleontologist. I don't use that word. I have heard other people use it. People also use the word ufologist.
I mean,
And
that was the word I wanted, was ufologist.
now
Because
that I do use. We
that
do
was the
call
word-
ourselves that.
That was the word of the day on Amazon the other day.
Yeah,
Ufologist.
ufologist. UFO right at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do refer to yourselves and your group.
We
as
sure do. Yeah, on our
ufologist.
meetup page, you can select a label. So like if you were, if you had a meetup group for hiking, you might select, instead of saying that there are 100 members of this group, you can change the word members on your meetup, and you might say 100 hikers in this group. Label everyone a hiker if it's a hiking group. So I changed mine from members to ufologist. So now it says we have like 500 ufologists in our meetup.
Well, if you guys ever try to send a message beyond our solar system, would you send this one? Is there any intelligent life out there? Because I can't find any here.
Dad, that is great. That is great. I would 100% send that message.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, I tell you, especially if I'm watching the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's been crazy. Well, it's always crazy.
It's
A lot
always
of nuts out there.
a lot
Naked
of,
nuts running around neighborhoods.
I'm just expressing myself and my inner child. I wanted to recapture how I was as a 1-year-old. I know I'm 68 years old now, but
Dad, if you were running around naked and the police captured you, I guess they just stick you in the back of the squad car without any clothes on. I was wondering about that afterward.
well, Mom and I, when we were visiting Boulder one year, we left our hotel, which was a Residence Inn, and we were in Boulder, and we were going to go to a coffee shop. And there enough on the road was a guy totally buck naked, and the police were right with him. And
Wow.
they were moving him right to the back of their cruiser. Buck naked? No, just the way he was.
Wow. That's reason enough never to be arrested, because you don't know what's been on that seat in the back of the squad car.
Or if you're going to be arrested, make sure you take your wipes with you.
That's right.
Yeah. This was my experience flying home from Detroit. I will say one thing about the Detroit airport, especially the Delta wing. That is
Yeah.
really a neat wing. And as I went to visit Angie, I always have like an inner GPS that looks for a really, 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 that's 3 reallys. Good bran muffin. I
Oh.
love a good bran muffin. And you're not going to get those in San Antonio. You get a good tortilla, you get a good taco, a good burrito, a good
Same thing in Albuquerque, Dad.
whatever,
Not a
you
good
know, right?
bran muffin to be
So you,
found.
no, if you're going to get a bran muffin here, it's going to be filled with oil and sugars and everything else. Well,
That's right.
I like a hearty bran muffin. Well, all of a sudden, I'm going to meet Angie where the pickup is, and my GPS went off, and I said there was a little place over there to my left, and I said, I wonder if that place has a bran muffin. And
Yeah.
so I went over there, and sure enough, they had maple bran muffins. I know Angie likes those, so I bought 2 of them. And so went out to the car, and it was so delicious, so
Ah.
delicious. I mean, it was dry, so you didn't have the super oils. Had some nuts in it, and it was covered. The top was covered with the pumpkin seeds.
Yum. That sounds so good, man. I'm really hungry now after listening to that.
I bought one when I went to the airport to come home. Well, I purposely picked window seats. Well, on the way home, I was so happy. I had the window seat because I like to look outside. I like to watch the takeoff and everything else. Well, these 2 guys, and they were service guys coming from Korea, and they must have been special forces because their arms were as big as my legs, and I mean they just. I'm happy they're on my team. And I just said to one of the guys, I said, how you doing? He says, man, we're tired. We've flown all the way from Korea and we still get this flight to go. And so, okay. So my window's still up. Next thing I know, they put their headphones in. We take off, and then they open as soon as they could. They opened up the little desk there, the thing that falls down, put their heads down, and I said, Ray, these guys need their rest. I pulled my shade down because I said, they're on my team. And I said, I just want them to have a rest.
Aw,
Sleep
that's
well.
nice.
And
That's nice.
they did sleep until about 20 minutes before we landed.
Wow.
Yeah. So they had I think it's a 20-hour ride from flight altogether from the US to Korea, but I don't know,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's going to be long. I've got a couple of long flights coming up, going out to New Jersey to pick up Tegan for her week of adventures with Grandma.
Have you bought a lot of fun little things for her to play with?
Dad, I have gone a little bit out of control on that.
I don't think a grandmother can ever go out of control.
That's right. We're going to have an absolute blast. She wants to go to Shark's Tooth Ridge out in the desert so we can collect fossils. And we want to go to the zoo and the biopark and the botanical gardens. And she wants me to take her to Hobby Lobby so she can pick out some things. And we're going to do arts and crafts. We're going to probably bake some cookies. It's going to be a great time.
That'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
You'll have a great time. And I know she loves to work in your garden.
She does. I have a little space all reserved for her, and I'm going to take her to the plant nursery and let her pick out whatever. It doesn't even matter if it grows well here or not. I'm just letting her get what she wants, and we're going to plant
Oh,
it.
that'll be so nice.
Yeah.
Yes. So that space, then you can have her name it or something, or pagan
Yeah.
space, or whatever she wants to call it.
That's right. She can decorate it all up. It'll be super fun.
That'll be nice. If she plants some flowers in it, like Gerber daisies or something like that,
Yeah.
she can draw a picture of that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
she's pretty good at artwork, right?
She's great at artwork. She's
Yeah, I thought
very
she was
talented.
talented that way, right?
Yeah.
You can see things and do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know how the battle with the patio roof is going. Uh-oh.
Well, it's leaking.
Folks who are listening to this or watching this, that laugh from Pru means patio roof 1, Pru and Daniel 0.
That is correct. And now the underneath, it's looking beautiful. Daniel finished all the wiring around and we hung up some party lights, Dad. So it looks super cool. And he's going to put the tin ceiling underneath. But up top, this keeps leaking, and he has to get more tar today after that big rainstorm last night. It was still leaking, although he did manage to plug up the leak over the kitchen. So that's a blessing. And we did have a roofer come and give an estimate, and we think we're going to go with them. So we'll be having a new roof soon enough, which is going to be a whole nother. There'll be some stories there.
What kind of roof are they going to put on?
Tar and gravel.
Tar and gravel?
Yeah, traditional.
You have that flat roof.
Because we have the flat roof. Yeah, and they have all kinds of roofing materials now. But that's what we're going with, the tried and true. Some of the others, they're a lot more expensive, and they don't hold up as well. So
I think that's a good idea, Pru.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure the guy or the roofers, whoever they are, guarantee it.
That's correct. Yeah, we're getting a guarantee for sure.
Guarantee for sure.
Yeah.
Well, my roofer called me today because we have to wait 45 days or less for my HOA to approve my roof getting repaired or getting replaced. Actually, today on my little cul-de-sac, 2 houses are having their roofs replaced from the hailstorm. And when my roof is done, that'll mean all but 1 house on the whole cul-de-sac has been replaced because of the hail damage.
Wow. Wow. That was a big storm.
That was a big storm.
Yeah.
We survived the hailstorm of 2024. And you survived the deluge of 2024.
I survived the deluge, which all the bees love. The plants and the flowers are loving it. The grapes got bigger overnight.
Speaking of which, tell me about the great swarm. And you did send me a photo today of a big chunk of honey.
Yes. And that big chunk. So what I did was I went into the blue hive, South Valley hive as we call it. And it had, last week I put on.
Can you interrupt for a second, Pru?
Yeah.
Just for our listeners, Pru has named each of her hives. So she has 3 sets of hives, and each of them has a specific name. Right,
yeah,
Pru?
the southernmost one in the yard we call South Valley, which is, they're named after locations in Albuquerque. So we have South Valley, we have Midtown, which is the high-rise hive, and then we have North Valley. So South Valley, last week, I had to put a second box on because those are the busiest bees I have ever met. Seriously, these guys are crazy workers, and they filled up the whole box. I had to put a second box up last week. Dad, yesterday, I had to put a third box on top, which I just did this morning. And when I opened it, do you remember, Dad, when we went into that hive and I opened the lid, they had built a big piece of comb on the lid. And I decided that I needed to remove that. And that's what I removed. It was completely full of honey. I mean, the bees probably weren't very happy that I stole a bunch of their honey, but they're producing so much. They've got many more bars of honey. So I had to take that off, put a fresh frame in, and that honey, I cut up the honeycomb into chunks, and I put them in little pint-sized jars, and I got six pints of honey and honeycomb.
Whoa!
Yeah, just from that one piece.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that honey will store for thousands of years.
For thousands of years.
Yeah, that is excellent, Pru.
Yeah.
Now, how many different swarms have you added to your honey collection?
Well, let's see. We have 2 swarms in addition to, I had 1 hive for a year. I had 2 hives prior to that, but I had combined them because one of the queens had problems. And so this year that we added 2 swarms, actually I did collect 3 swarms, but I combined 2 of those swarms because the queen wasn't viable in one of the swarms. And so now the North Valley hive it's a combination with 2 different swarms in it, but 1 queen. They're all one big happy bee family. They seem to be doing pretty good. So I think they're going to pull through. I was a little wondering, is that hive going to make it or not? I think it's going to make it. The other 2 hives are going super strong. So that's just Mother Nature. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, you sure don't. Do you plan on selling or giving any of the hives away?
No.
No, not sure.
No.
No. Those are your children.
They are my children.
Right. They really weren't vicious when I was there. I mean, I'm sure they may have stung me if I didn't dress up, but I they seemed just they just seemed, oh, what's she doing here? That's what I thought.
Yeah, Dad, this morning I was in South Valley and I took that big, huge piece of comb off, and they didn't even care. They didn't even care. Put it in a container and gave them a new box, tidied everything up, and they just ignored me the whole time. They are so chill.
What are you harvesting from your garden these days?
Okay, amaranth.
Me
Breakfast,
too.
lunch, and dinner. Amaranth. It's amaranth. Oh, it's so much amaranth. I harvested my first two shishito peppers, and I think I've got a couple more I can pick. And that's what we've got. Oh, and kale. That's just ongoing, endless kale. I have radishes that are almost ready to pull up, and lots of herbs and such. The tomatoes will take a while. And strawberries, we've been eating those as they pop up, and the grapes are almost ready. So it's gonna be a pretty fruitful garden this year. We have peaches and pomegranates, figs. The figs are coming along. There's that fig bush is loaded up. So
I picked my first ripe fig yesterday,
ah,
and I went to eat it. Then I realized the mockingbird got it first.
oh, of course, of course.
Mockingbirds love figs, but they will not eat the whole fig. They'll just stick their beak into it. Sometimes they'll eat a little more than a speck, but for the most part, they're just happy ruining it for me.
Yeah, they do the same. All the birds around here do the same thing. They do that with the prickly pear, and they've done that with the peaches in the past. So you have to kind of get on top of the peaches. Once they turn ripe, you got to pick them. Don't leave them hanging.
Now, when I was at your house, Daniel bought a cage at the flea market, and he was going to use it to put bird seed into it. Has he done anything with that?
I actually took a stick. Hanging it's like a hanging lantern that I think you're supposed to put a candle in. I think that's what it actually is. So it has this woven wire on the outside,
Right, right.
and there was no place for a bird to they'd have to get their claws into the side of it and try to hold on. So I took a cool curvy piece of cholla wood, dried out cholla wood, and I wove it through, so it's got two perches now sticking out each side. And we were putting dried mulberries in it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He wanted to put mulberries in it. Are the birds going there?
Well, Dad, we haven't put any mulberries in yet because we're still drying mulberries, and the amount of mulberries in the front yard is truly insane. So at any given point in time, there's over 200 birds in the front yard. As we
I'm,
speak, 200 birds in that tree and in the yard.
I'm thinking that when you start filling up that cage with mulberries and the birds eat them, they're going to get so tipsy they'll fall off of the little.
Yeah, we're drying them so they won't ferment. But the ones in the front yard, they're all fermented. It smells like a frat house out front. It's awful.
Are the doves staggering around?
Yeah, the pigeons are staggering around. The robins are staggering around. This is the time of year, and we've got a very slow, quiet street. Not that many cars ever go down, just the people that live on the street. But still, every year, at least one pigeon's going to get run over because they waddle out during mulberry season.
Now you know where the expression bird brain came from.
That's right. Those doves, those pigeons.
Yeah. So what do you have planned for this weekend? Do you have a UFO meeting?
I do. We have our monthly social gathering at La La Cafe on Saturday. So
Oh,
we,
that'll be fun.
yeah, meet for 2, 3 hours. People hang out, have coffee and snacks or tea, and just talk about, I don't know, they talk about everything, not just UFOs. People talk about what's going on in their lives. People have made real friendships in the group.
Oh,
So,
that's a really nice thing. So
yeah,
your group, besides talking about common interests, also have learned to become friends with each other.
exactly. It's a
That's
really wonderful meetup group.
Yeah, that's the way meetup groups should be, Pru.
Yeah,
Done a really good service with that because lots of people normally would just stay home, be lonely, but
that's
you're giving them
right.
a chance to get out.
Yeah, and a lot of the group members are older folks, and so it's been really great for them getting them out of the house, interacting, having a social life. So it's been wonderful.
Well, that's really super. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, Prue, do you have a recipe or something good to offer our listeners?
Oh gosh, let me think. I did make homemade pesto from the basil in my garden because the basil is really getting huge. And so I cut a bunch of it down. And what I did was I just took a few handfuls of the basil. I didn't even chop it up or anything. I just cut off the branches and stuck it in my I used the immersion blender, Dad. Stuck it in that container that
Yeah.
comes with the immersion blender so you can make your smoothies. I stuck basil in there, little bit of olive oil, little bit of pine nuts, little bit of fresh parmesan, and a clove of garlic, and whirred it all up. And Dad, it was the most delicious pesto ever. We put some on salmon,
Oh,
on
that sounds delicious.
yeah, and on some roasted potatoes in the air fryer, add a little pesto to those after they fry up. Oh my gosh, so good.
Well, mine is actually still with refried beans, but I tried something a little different. I did my refried beans for my burrito at lunch today, and I I use pinto beans, which I dry out totally.
Yeah.
And I put 2 scoops of salsa in with it to give it some flavor.
Yum.
Then I went out into my garden and picked some rosemary. And I added
Ooh.
rosemary to the mix before I used the immersion blender to mix it all up. And I hadn't used rosemary in there before, but it gave it such a really nice taste. It was very good.
Oh, I'm gonna try that, Dad. That's a great idea.
Rosemary, but I like rosemary. I don't know if it's my ethnic heritage.
I love it too.
Yeah, I love the smell. I love the taste, and I
Yeah.
love it on focaccia bread.
It's really good on focaccia bread. It's also really good for your hair.
Yeah,
If you rub the natural oils and the rosemary leaves, if you rub some between your palms and then give yourself like a head massage, super good for your scalp. Gets rid of dandruff. It's supposed to stimulate hair growth too, they say.
thank you. Well, as I was saying about my checklist.
Yeah.
Oh, folks, I have to go back. Prue was talking about rosemary and how good it is for you. Then we went off the air. Well, as I told Prue, my feet are really pretty big, and I was stretching out my legs under my desk. I'm really not in this living room. This is just a backdrop. And my feet had kicked the wire out of the internet connection. So I'm still talking, and Prue's still talking, but we're not talking to anybody because I had knocked my internet offline. Well, we figured that out and we're back. But I was telling Prue just now over the phone, and now I'll continue it. I have this checklist every night, and it gives me a good routine for the day. Then all of a sudden, some days it doesn't work that way. The universe just grabs hold of you, and it just says, Ray, or Prue, or whoever the case may be, it's not going to be this way today. And they just keep throwing stuff at you. And it's just
Dad, it's so true. It's
never
so
ends.
true.
And all you got to do, all you can do is either you can fight it and get, ticked off. I can think of a better word or a more descriptive word, or you can just roll with it. And after so many years of getting ticked off, I found rolling with it feels a hell of a lot better.
It does. It does. Sometimes days just don't go the way you want them to. But at the end of the day, you can look back and can think, oftentimes I'll think, wow, I'm really glad that it got all messed up this morning because I got to have this conversation or I got to see this or do that. And it ends up being a better day.
Prue, isn't that the way? That is such a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Such a good attitude.
New adventures.
New adventures. And we never know because you never know.
That's right. You never know.
Right. So we never know what good things are coming our way.
Exactly.
What wonderful surprises are waiting for you and me and for all of those who are listening or viewing this.
That's right.
Well, amiga, I hope you have the best rest of the day ever.
You too, Dad. This was a great conversation.
It was. And to all our friends out there, we do have a couple of questions. Prue, this is really unfair to her because I just threw this one at her and I'm giving her some time to formulate her question because she didn't see that coming. It was totally unfair.
Oh, I can come up with questions all day long. What is your favorite bran muffin recipe? Because I could use a few good ones. If anyone has one, link it up for us in comments.
I think that is a great question. Not only what's your recipe, but if you have a good place where you buy a perfect bran muffin, put that in the description. You never know, people are traveling, or in the comments, people are traveling and they say, I saw this and there's a great bran muffin there.
That's right.
We'll try it. Excuse me. We'll just try that out.
Awesome.
And my question is, if you could play one song right now, what would that song be that just makes you feel good?
Ooh, that's a good question. Come on, everybody. Post those in comments. I want to hear.
And next week, in our next podcast, Pru and I will tell you what that song is.
That's right.
For us.
And next week, at the end of the week, I am going to the Roswell UFO Festival. So if you have any questions about the Roswell UFO Festival or things you would like for me to do there or take photos of, let us know in comments.
Well, enjoy all the ufologists there.
That's right. Actually, they're calling at the International UFO Museum. They're calling the conference that they're holding the Ufologists Invasion.
All right. Well, what are the dates of that, Pru?
It's July 5th through the 7th.
Okay, so you go Friday through the whole weekend.
That's right.
Well, we'll on the next podcast, which will not be next week because of the short week, and happy 4th of July, folks.
Happy 4th of July.
And we'll find more about the ufology expedition and conference and happening.
That's
in
right.
Roswell.
Get your tinfoil hats ready, everybody.
Adios, amigos.
Adios, Papa.
Adios, Pru. Love you.
Love you.
Oh,
Hey, Dad, that was
really,
great. That was great.
that was really good. And
Yeah, that was a really good
not
one.
perfect. We're human beings. Goofy things happen.
That's right.
Big feet get in the way.
Exactly. It just makes a good story in the middle of the thing. Hey, thanks for listening. We love you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. See you next time.